Hello dear fans, friends, subscribers, welcome back to your Cricket Happening show, this on a Sunday. And there is two victories coming up. One is a sensational victory in the third test match, where Ben Stokes played an outstanding knock of 30 odd runs to stop the Aussies from regaining the urn and now keeping this series alive, with the series being leveled right now. And Stokes, and also it was a last wicket partnership of 76 runs, the second highest last wicket partnership in Test history. And England staged their most successful chase ever in Test history, when they chased 359 runs successfully. And now the Ashes series is locked at 1-1, with one final test match coming up. So that is as far as that match is concerned. The other match, India versus West Indies, one did not think that the match would be getting over so soon, but it did. In fact, Ajinkya Rahane went on to score a century after 2 years. He got to his century. It was his 10th test run. Hanuma Vihari making 93, and India declaring the innings closed to set the West Indies 418 runs for victory. And one never thought that West Indies would be capitulating in such a manner, as they were reduced to 50 for 9 by the Indian pace bowlers, especially Jasprit Bumrah, who was on absolute fire today. 8 overs, 4 maidens, 7 runs and 5 wickets. You can't get any happy reading than this as far as bowling figures is concerned, as Jasprit Bumrah totally started knocking the stumps off. One could hear the rattle of the timber, and Ishan Sharma also combined along with Mohammad Shami, and they were reduced to 50 for 9 before the 10th wicket partnership of 50, which was an aggressive one at that, from Kemar Roach, who started smashing sixes at absolute will, and Miguel Cummins. And then finally the West Indians were bowled out for 100 with a day to spare, and that was the end of the match. India starting off, or kicking off, the ICC World Test Championships with a big victory, a huge victory at that. India has taken a victory by 318 runs, and this is their highest margin of victory in an away series against any team. And also Virat Kohli has now equalled Mahendra Singh Dhoni's record of 27 wins, and that is also another record that has happened. So Virat Kohli has already equalled Mahendra Singh Dhoni's 27 wins that he had. So that really says a lot about this man Virat Kohli, and he has led the team beautifully. And Jasprit Bumrah, what a spell from Jasprit Bumrah! Absolutely blew the West Indians away from this first Test match on the afternoon before tea. And then the match between New Zealand and the West Indies. Talking about New Zealand West Indies, well, that is definitely heading towards a tame draw. Because even the first innings is not yet over, and we are walking into the final day with the New Zealand score on 382 for 5. Tom Latham went on to make 154, but it was all about the batting of Colin de Grandhomme. He came in. Tom Latham and Watling were playing a waiting game, as you would all know, with Watling was not out on 81, but Grandhomme smashed it in such a manner that he really blitzed an innings of 83, unbeaten runs at that, of 75 deliveries, absolutely one-day style, which included 5 fours and 5 sixes. So I'm going to talk about all these 3 matches. So now, first I'm going to head towards to the England versus Australia game, and then we go to the India West Indies game, and then we go to the Sri Lanka New Zealand game. But first, let's head on to the most exciting ever win that happened. England staging their most successful chase ever in Test history. So, talking about it, Ben Stokes was there. He resumed his innings today with his partner Jonathan Barrett. I think it was Jonathan Bairstow. It was Joe Root who was at the crease. but Joe Root was sent on his way back to the pavilion by Nathan Lyon. Nathan Lyon, the right arm off spinner, taking Joe Root. Joe Root, normally you would never find Joe Root, coming down the pitch to a spinner, and that was something which happened. He really decided to take the attack to Nathan Lyon, but I have to say that Joe Root's unusual chance to go and have a go at Nathan Lyon did not meet with the desired response, and Joe Root was dismissed for 77, and then finally and then Jonathan Barristow walked in. So Jonathan Barristow walked in, and suddenly there was some enterprise in the innings after Joe Root left the scene. Joe Root, as I said, trying to have a go at Nathan Lyon, was a victim for 77. Jonathan Barristow came in, and there was a lot of enterprise in this 50-run partnership that happened between Ben Stokes and Jonathan Barristow. Barristow made 36 with 4 boundaries before Hazelwood actually picked up his wicket. He was caught by Labuschagne. He tried to go on the back foot and try to cut it away, but Labuschagne at second slip held the catch. Barristow was gone for 36, and then Josh Butler came in. Josh Butler, it was a really a very terrible mix-up, one could say, and in the terrible mix-up, it was all over. It was a direct hit from Travis Head. Butler was on the way, and that was really trouble for England. Then the score at 253 for 6. And after that, there was a flurry of wickets that fell. Chris Wokes was a victim of the bowling of Hazelwood for 1. Jofra Archer was a victim of the bowling of Nathan Lyon, trying to club him down the leg side. Was gone for 15 with 3 boundaries. Stuart Broad was able to blow Pattinson for naught, and suddenly this the Australian team was all over England with the score reading 286 for 9. Still a long way to go, but for England, the very big fact was that this man Ben Stokes was at the crease. And as you know, as long as Ben Stokes is at the crease, anything can happen. You know what happened in the World Cup against New Zealand in the final, and especially it definitely brought memories of that, no doubt about it. But what a knock from Ben Stokes. He was joined in by Leach, and Leach is someone who is no rabbit with the bat. We all know he came as a night watchman, made 90 odd runs against in the first test of the Ashes, and so Mike Leach came in, and he gave tremendous company to Ben Stokes. He decided to just put bat to ball, but Ben Stokes, what an innings from Ben Stokes. I mean, when the situation was 286 for 9, we saw Ben Stokes started unveiling strokes that only he could play. A reverse hit over the cover region for a 6, moving the ball of Nathan Lyon over the long off and long on region for 6s. Cummins was ramped for a 6 by Ben Stokes, and suddenly things were going England way, and Australians were getting very frustrated. It went on and on and on, and Ben Stokes definitely was the one who was the man, and definitely what a partnership. 76 runs. One would remember the Kushal Pereira and Vishwa Fernando partnership against South Africa in South Africa. Now this will go down in history as one of the very wonderful partnerships. I mean, Leach has to be given credit. He was not out on 1, and finally the victory cry came for England, and Aussies would have never thought so. At 286 for 9, they would have thought that it is all done and dusted. But this man Stokes, you can never doubt this guy, Ben Stokes. What a player he's turning out to be for England. Look at his knock here. He was not out on 135, which included 11 fours and 8 spanking 6s. And this is definitely another Ian Botham coming in for England, one should say. Leach was not on 1, 362 for 9, as I said. England staging their most successful chase ever in Test history. And looking at the bowling figures, Hazelwood had 4 for 85, 2 for 114 for Nathan Lyon, 1 wicket for 80 for Cummins, 1 for 47 for James Pattinson, and that was it. So the England now, as I said, now it is 1-1 in the Ashes Test Series, the final one which is coming up in the ICC World Test Championships. And I'm sure this is going to be something that the fourth test we are all looking forward to. So Aussies have to really go and work hard once again to wrest the control from England. But what a match we had here, what a test match we had here in the Ashes Test Series, and Ben Stokes very rightly was named man of the match. Now we head towards from England, we are heading towards the West Indies, as India versus West Indies. It was the 4 days play at the North Sound in Antigua, and let's see as to what happened. So India resumed their overnight score with their batsman Ajinkya Rahane well entrenched at the crease, and he had the company of none other than the Indian skipper Virat Kohli. And Virat Kohli was sent back to the pavilion very quickly, so that was a big wicket for the West Indies, which brought a huge cheer for West Indies, no doubt, early in the morning when Kohli was dismissed. So that really set things for the West Indies. Once they got Kohli's wicket, it was something that is something that they were definitely wanting to do that, and they definitely did that. So let's have a look as what happened. So Kohli was the first to go today. I'm trying to get on to the scores here as to see what really happened. So Kohli was the early victim today, but Ajinkya Rahane, as I said, after a gap of 2 years, he has been struggling to get to that century mark, and finally Ajinkya Rahane made it today when he went on to hit a century. So I'm just going to talk about it. I'm just going to talk about the innings of Rahane. Rahane was a very good innings. He buckled himself beautifully, and he started getting the momentum that he wanted in the innings. He got good company from Hanuma Vihari. Hanuma Vihari did a good job for himself, making 93, Rahane making 102 with only 5 boundaries, but a very good knock from Ajinkya Rahane. Hanuma Vihari also showed his prowess, once again missing his century here. Hanuma Vihari making 93, which are 10 fours, and what a shot from Hanuma Vihari when he ramped Shannon Gabriel over the third man region for a superb 6. And Hanuma Vihari 93 was his contribution. And when Hanuma Vihari was out, Pant was out for 7. And when Hanuma Vihari was out, Virat Kohli, the Indian captain, applied the declaration with India at 343 for 7, and thus setting the West Indians 418 runs for victory. Looking at the bowling, Chase was the one who picked up Kohli's wicket as well. Chase had wickets 4 for 132, and 1 wicket to Kemar Roche Gabriel and Jason Holder. Now West Indies were given a target of 419 runs to win the match, and now one knew that there was 1 full day to go, and this was a target which was given. This would have been that West Indies would have stayed their second most successful chase in Test history, if at all they could do this. But just look at the card there. I mean, the West Indian innings started off with Jasprit Bumrah bowling superbly. I mean, it was more of an outswingers that was actually doing the trick today. Bumrah is normally known for his in-swingers, but he has worked on his outswingers now, and we saw how the outswinger was doing its work. But as far as the first wicket was concerned, it was Bumrah. Bumrah definitely got a ball which moved outside the channel, which is outside the off stump, and Craig Brathwaite went fishing, caught by Pant off the bowling of Bumrah for 1. So that was wicket number 1. West Indies were 7 for 1 at the stage. Campbell got a delivery from Jasprit Bumrah, full delivery, full length on the off stump, but it was swinging into the left-hander Campbell. He wanted to drive the ball straight, but there was a bat and pad gap, and that was enough to go and disturb the middle stump. And Bumrah was really happy. What a delivery from Jasprit Bumrah. Campbell gone, bowl Bumrah for 7, West Indies 10 for 2. Shamar Brooks was promoted in the batting order today. He came 1 drop, and Dan Bravo. But Shamar Brooks trying to flick the ball from the crease at an Ishan Sharma in swinger was the next to go. LBW bowled Sharma for 2, and that made the score 3 wickets down for the West Indies. They were 10 for 3. Darren Bravo was a wonderful delivery from Bumrah. What a delivery from Jasprit Bumrah. A peach, one could say, as this was a ball on the off stump, but it was actually swinging in, and Bravo was trying to drive the delivery, bat and pad, and his timber was gone, and now the score was 15 for 5. Ishan Sharma had taken the wicket of Shimron Hetmyer, as this was a ball outside the off stump. Hetmyer trying to drive it, it took the edge, Rahane took the catch, and West Indies were in absolutely a deep hole there, with the score reading 15 for 5. And now we had 2 new batsmen at the crease. Shami started his work there, with Roston Chase being castled by Mohammad Shami. What a ball. The ball actually held its line and just went on to hit the off stump of Roston Chase. And Shami had picked up. Now it was 50 for 8. Shai Hope was clean bowled by Jasprit Bumrah for just 2 runs. Shai Hope, in fact, his off stump went cartwheeling, and this was the wicket number 4 for Jasprit Bumrah. But it was just Bumrah's skills, one could say, moving the ball outside the off stump. And that was the end of Shai Hope. Roston Chase was gone, and Jason Holder, as soon as he came with the score on 27 for 6, he was really a frustrated captain. He was just throwing his bat, and Bumrah uprooted his stumps once again. This was the 5th wicket for Bumrah. It was off the off stump. It was Holder was inside the crease, and again, this is once again the leg cutter of Jasprit Bumrah doing the trick, and he was a goner. And after that, we had Shannon Gabriel out to Mohammad Shami for naught, but came up at 50 for 9. One thought that it's just a matter of time before the West Indies innings would be over, but Kemar Roche decided to do a bit of clubbing of the Indian bowlers. He went and he hit 3 sixes in a Ravindra Jadeja over. Then he also hit, I think it was Ishan Sharma was hit for a 6. And finally, Kemar Roche and Cummins had put on 50 runs for the last wicket to delay the inevitable. And finally, Cummins was not out on 19 with 2 4s and 1 6. But Kemar Roche indulged himself by making 38 of 31, 1 4 and 5 6s in that. 100 all out, and finally the death knell was sounded for the West Indies, and India had won by a huge margin of 318 runs. And what a start for India at the Sir Vivian Richards Stadium, North Sound in Antigua, in the first test of the ICC World Test Championships, taking 60 points for beating the West Indies. And Jasprit Bumrah, what a tremendous bowling spell from this bloke, Jasprit Bumrah. 8 overs, 4 maidens, 7 runs and 5 wickets. Tremendous bowling spell from Jasprit Bumrah. Ishan Sharma supporting him admirably. 9.5 overs, 1 maiden, 31 runs and 3 wickets, and 2 wickets for 13 for Mohammad Shami. Ajinkya Rahane was named man of the match. Now, very quickly, just a skimmer, one could say. We are talking about the Sri Lanka versus New Zealand game, which definitely is heading towards a draw. We are going into the final day with the first innings even not completed between New Zealand and Sri Lanka. Latham went on to make 154, and after that we had Watling just entrenching himself and was not out on 81, but it was Grandhome who really gave the sort of a real impetus to this New Zealand innings. When the overs that were bowled were very less today, but it was the batting of Grandhome which was the real feature, as he started hitting 4s and 6s at absolute will, and at close of play he was undefeated on 83 with 5 fours and 5 sixes as New Zealand closed the day at 382 for 5. A very good lead, but as I said, unless New Zealand can declare tomorrow, they have in fact the score was 382 that New Zealand had, so they are definitely on the ascendancy. There is no doubt about it. They have definitely taken a very big lead here. As you know, Sri Lanka made 244, so it definitely tells you that New Zealand are on an absolute ascendancy in this particular test match. 382 for 5 was what New Zealand finished with. They are leading by 138 runs. As I said, it would take a lot to breathe some life into the game, but that's the match situation, dear fans and subscribers. Hope you all loved this cricket broadcast of mine. I'll be back tomorrow on my next cricket broadcast because these 2 test matches have already ended. There's only 1 test match to follow, and that will be New Zealand versus Sri Lanka. So till such time, I see you back, dear friends and subscribers. It's your host Ram signing this off on a Sunday. Thank you.